Welcome back to part 3 of Erythropoiesis, where we decode how to study properly. Okay, well, that's not what we are here for. Our part 3 of erythropoiesis is going to be the regulation of erythropoiesis. The erythropoiesis in our body is regulated through a feedback mechanism. Now, that feedback mechanism is divided into the two types. There is the functional feedback and the end product feedback, as you can clearly see over here. Now, what do you understand by the word functional feedback? Functional. There is something that exists that depends on the function of the RBC. Function of the RBC is it supplies oxygen to the tissues of our body. Now, let's say that because oxygen over here is currently and clearly playing a major role. So, oxygen supply tends to act as the functional feedback. What do I mean? Now, let's see the significance of oxygen to understand how it is the main key component in the functional feedback. Now, let's say that the RBC that supplies oxygen to our tissues is failing. That means it is less. The tissues are going to send a signal to the RBCs and be like, hey there, the oxygen that is being supplied to me is very less. I cannot function and I am going to necrose and I am eventually going to die. So you better supply oxygen to me. Now let's say that the oxygen supply to the tissues is very high. In such cases, the tissue is again going to signal to the RBC and be like, hey there, slow down. Too much oxygen for me already. Now, this signal word that you see over here, something in the tissues is signaling to the RBCs to either decrease or increase the oxygen supply to this. And that signal is mediated through erythropoietin. This erythropoietin is in turn secreted from our bodies. Which part of the body? The hint is in the diagram given below. Comment it down in the comment section. End product feedback. Think about the word end product. If you've ever watched the movie Train to Busan, All of Us Are Dead, etc., something is ending there. So, similarly, our lives are going to end here. If the RBC production in our body is not good enough. What do I mean? The end product is showing the end of something in this regulation of erythropoiesis. Now, due to the products of RBC destruction, now the RBC, after its happy lifespan of 120 days, it has to be destroyed in our body. All right. So, whatever the RBCs are being destroyed, its products, they form the basis of the end product feedback. Now, what exactly is going to happen? Now, let's say that there is increased destruction of RBCs in our body after 120 days. All right. If it's happening before, like within 10 days, 20 days of its first lifespan, that's a very abnormal condition and that's very bad. But currently, we're talking of an ideal situation where the RBC tends to hemolyze and eventually die after a period of 120 days. So, when there is increased destruction of RBCs by our body, the demand for the RBC production is going to increase. And where is the RBC being produced in our body? Obviously, it is from the bone marrow. This increased destruction of RBC is going to signal the bone marrow, asking it to produce more RBCs so that the hemostasis of the body is maintained, and vice versa. That means if there is decreased destruction of RBCs, there won't be that much demand for RBCs. Now, for this thing to happen, like over here, erythropoietin is helping. In this case, where more RBCs have to be produced due to increased destruction or hemolysis of RBCs, the mediator is hemin. Now, where is hemin coming from? Is it coming from kidneys? Well, no. Is it coming from liver? No. It is coming from the breakdown of heme proteins like hemoglobin. Also, it is synthesized internally in the body. So, this is where the hemin comes from.